Oh. 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 Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. When I pick up our children from school, I've started to teach them Hindi vocabulary. And so one of the words I recently taught them was bal, which means hair. And they repeat this back to me. Yesterday morning, Shuka and I were cuddling, and so I thought I'd go through a review. And I said, Shuka, what is this? And he had forgotten. So I said, bal. And he goes, Pitashi, you're not bald. Yet. Wrong interpretation. With Vyasa, I'm trying to brainwash him into feeling that I love him the most. So I'll ask him, who loves you the most? He used to say Amma. Now he says Pitashi. He's a clever boy. So I asked, who loves you the most? He said Pitashi, Amma, Shuka. And then he said, I love myself. I love myself the most too. That is the right interpretation. To love oneself the most. Meaningful Mornings is a workshop to sink in with the right interpretation of life. Now, Bhagavad Gita, only with the right interpretation will there be the right implementation. If you feel you're not supposed to love yourself the most, how can you love anyone else then? Verse 1, Prince Arjuna asks Sri Krishna a question about acting. It is not whether he should act or not, but rather why he should act. He asks, what should my intention be as I act? Which development path should I take? Our intention really guides our development. Shri Krishna responds from verses 2 through 6, sharing, there is a single path. Prince Arjuna feels there's paths. Shri Krishna corrects him. There's a single path. It's called yoga. For an intermediate seeker, this means their intention should be to reduce expectations. For an advanced seeker, their intention should be to reduce ego. Prince Arjuna, you are an intermediate seeker. You follow this path that will naturally evolve to the advanced path, the advanced section of the path. Verses 7 through 9 share how an advanced seeker feels. While they're engaged, they feel their being joy. In verse 10, which we're about to explore, Shri Krishna restates Karma Yoga. Why does he restate this? He's run out of content. He's restating this for us to recheck if we are acting in a dedicated way, with less deservership, with less doership. Whenever you feel there's a restatement, or more harshly, a repetition in teaching, that's for you to recheck. Are you following this path? Our only right is to rightness. Rightness is right attitude, right actions. This is generally called responsibility. That is our only right. With this right, all prosperity and peace comes to the individual all the way up to humanity. It is the wrongness of attitude which leads to the wrongness of action, where people now have to fight for their rights in terms of voting, as an example. And this is why I shared yesterday emphatically how important obedience is. An obedient dog, when you tell it to sit, it sits. I've never had a pet before. I'm only inferring from movies. For an obedient seeker, what are they doing? They're following rightness. There's no other choice. That obedience becomes a catalyst to humility. We all know how important humility is through our study of Ramayana, Bhagavata. And shared in one more way, humility is a methodology to empty oneself. We take being empty as a negative. I feel empty inside. Why that's a negative for us right now is because we don't know the infinity within us. If I empty all of the finitude, which means my dependency on experiences and equipments and ego, if I empty all of that, I come to feel what was always there, which is infinity. Obedience leads to humility. Humility leads to an emptying. One will come to understand and appreciate sthane. Then, I've referred to this word many times. Sthane means all is as all is. Visually, one comes to feel all is divine. In chapter 11, Sri Krishna will show Prince Arjuna he has 1,000 heads and 1,000 arms and so on. You know whose heads those are? Yours. Whose arms those are? Yours. We tend to externalize Sri Krishna as being this murti, this icon. You come to feel he is governing this creation through you. Most practically, to nurture this right to right is to have a master in one's life. A master lifts our purpose of living from a person to a purpose to presence. Now, some of you may be reflecting, how do I know a master if they have a master? That is the strength of a parampara or tradition. If I don't have a master, then my ego makes me feel like I am the master. But if I have a master, I have emptied that ego. I am an instrument. I am a limb of this presence. Verse 10. Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Lipyate na sa papena padmapatram ivambasa. Karmani, that is our responsibilities. Adaya, the intention in these responsibilities is Brahman, or I'm acting with the intention to feel this presence, divinity, infinity. We have to train ourselves to normalize this sentiment that all I do for her, I do for him. On your street, if they've installed a new stop sign or a stop light, when you first come to that sign or light, you don't stop because you're not used to it, correct? But eventually, that new sign or light becomes normalized. We do normalize experiences, normalize this sentiment. Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha. The one who has this intention, then what will they do naturally? They will tyaktva, renounce. Renounce what? Sangam. What comes from those actions? In other words, results. Shared in a different way, they are not acting for gain. Gain. Since they're not acting for gain, they have no sense of losing. Nothing to gain, nothing to lose. So then why are they acting? That's already been stated. The intention is I'm acting for her, for him. For everyone who engages in rituals, part of a ritual is you stating Shri, Parameshwara, Parameshwari, or in this case, Krishna. Shri Krishna, Priti Artham. Shri Krishna Priti Artham, which means all I'm doing is to please Shri Krishna. For those who are familiar with this, yes, what I'm stating is correct. It'd be great if one of you said, no, you're not. But here I'm checking you. Are you engaged in that ritual for him or for you? Now expand that to all you do. It's lip service to say I'm doing this for him, but the whole time I want to gain this and this and this. Please check yourself. I said please, okay? I didn't say it in a mean way. Check yourself. Lipyate nasapapena. They are unaffected by papa. Papa means sin or demerit. Why is Sri Krishna using this term? Because Prince Arjuna still feels that if he engages in his responsibility, negativity will come from that. Sri Krishna is sharing, if you're responsible, negativity will not come. And even if it does come, even if, you will not be affected by this. If one does not feel that they are the actor, then one will also not be affected by the result that comes from that action. Correct? The reaction belongs to the action. But if I have this sense of less deservership, less doership, reactions come, reactions go. Here is the visual. Padma. Show me with your hands what a Padma is. A lotus. Many of you have such names. Patra, that is the leaf of a lotus. Iva, like. Ambasa, water. Like a drop of water on the leaf of a lotus. That lotus never gets wet. Agreed? That lotus is designed to repel that water. That's how one will live in all of these experiences and equipments and ego. This will not affect you. You will be centered. The one who doesn't act will not be affected by the reaction. Where do we start? Stop reacting. That will help us to feel less like we are the actor. How do we stop reacting? Slow down. Slow how you speak, slow how you write, slow how you think. That's a constant message we share with those who we feel are less mature. Think before you speak. Think before you act. Think before you jump. Think. From inspiration to application. Your application yesterday was to memorize verses 8 and 9. How many of you did this? Good. In our 100 Steps to Infinity class yesterday, we actually explored ahankara, which means ego. The ego feels like it is an exception. And so it doesn't follow a path. And in our book, The Seeker's Word Book, we have indicated that the ego is like a leech. It just keeps draining us. So everyone who didn't memorize these verses, it's because you feel you're an exception. Yes? Follow these applications. Your application, until we continue with Bhagavad Gita on Monday, is whenever there's a negativity in your day, in your mind, I want you to brush off your shoulders. Can you all show me? Brush off, both, do both like this. So if you see each other, you should see each other like this. That any negativity, any reaction, just brush it off from someone else, from your own self. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.